Today we're going to be working on my daughter's 2000 Chevy Silverado 1500 with a 5.3 liter motor in it. This particular vehicle she's recently purchased and she loves it, so let's see what we can do with it. Alright, well, the next thing we're going to do this truck is we're going to check the fuel pressure. We think that the temperature sending unit is what's causing this thing to die, but just good general maintenance view of everything. We'll take a look at the fuel pressure, make sure it's good. My understanding it should run 50 to 55 pounds. I'll double check that, but I think that's the case. You'll notice that the fuel line comes from the back of the motor, comes up and into a splitter and a fuel rail. So there's a fuel rail on this side, it's two separate fuel rails, and it crosses over underneath the engine cover and goes to the other side. The other side is where the actual fitting is that we're going to access to check fuel pressure. So let's go to the other side. Alright, so we're on the opposite side of the motor now. Here's the engine cover, and then this line coming out here drops into the fuel rail for this side of the motor, the passenger side. And you'll notice a fitting right here, just under the edge of the valve of the engine cover. So we'll screw off this cap, and there's your fitting right there. So what we're using here is that's a relatively inexpensive fuel pressure gauge. It has a screw fitting on this end, and then it has basically a bleed valve here to bleed off excess pressure. Be real aware when you hook up a fuel pressure gauge, you can expect to have the release of some fuel, because this fuel rail is under pressure. So don't fool yourself. Very likely to get some fuel come out here. Maybe not. In this case, looks like not. So, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and check fuel pressure now. One thing you don't have to do to check fuel pressure is start the motor. When you turn the key on, the fuel pump primes. It should pressure the fuel rail. You may have to turn it off and on a couple times, but it will ultimately pressure this thing up. We'll go ahead and check it running in a minute, just for grins, but it's not necessary. Gonna have to do it. So I'm gonna get my daughter to go and put the key in the ignition, turn on the ignition, prime the pump, and then we'll see what we get. So we'll let her get to that. So we're ready to go here. Go ahead and turn the key on. There you go, about 52 pounds. Now go ahead and turn the key off and turn it back on. Turn it back on. So you see some fluctuation there when the pump first turns on. I think that fluctuation has to do with our pressure regulator. But let's get this thing running and see how it behaves. Go ahead and start it. Alright, so you saw there when we were in prime mode, running about 52 pounds. When we were operating at an idle, we were about 48 pounds. So we're quite happy with that fuel pressure. For your system, if you're checking fuel pressure, always go look up the stock fuel pressure requirements for your engine, for your car model. And but this one, I think what the claim was 50 to 55, 48's great. 52 on prime, 48 at idle. I'm quite thrilled. So no problem with the fuel pump, and that's good news. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.